Hey everybody, Chuck Holton here. Thank you for watching the Hot Zone, coming to you from Panama today. Now, talking about what's going on in Venezuela. Before we get to that, let's go to a word from our sponsors. Hey folks, the wellness company's Cyber Monday sale is live now for 48 hours only, which is about as generous as the internet ever gets. And the clock is already ticking. If you've been waiting all year to feel unusually clever about your health choices, this is the time. You can save up to 25% site-wide, including 20% off all emergency kits and memberships. It's time to do that wholesome holiday thing where you gift health to people instead of another scarf that they'll immediately re-gift to somebody else. They only roll out deals like this once a year, so feel free to act like you've stumbled into hidden treasure. Give your body the regimen it needs to wrap up another year still standing and slide into 2026 looking like somebody who actually plans ahead. Load up on emergency kits, upgrade the cabinet with premium nutraceuticals, and check out their memberships while you're pretending to get serious about next year's health budget. They basically put everything you need in one place, so you can cyber shop your way into habits that make you look shockingly reasonable. The sale ends Tuesday night, December 2nd, so don't miss out. Get yourself the gift of good health this Christmas. Head over to twc.health/hotzone for Cyber Monday savings. Discounts apply automatically because typing in coupon codes is nobody's favorite thing. Shop twc.health/hotzone and give yourself the gift of well care. The pundits are all saying that something is bound to happen this week. Here's a senator or congressman, I think it's a congresswoman, that's speaking to the subject on Fox and Friends.
To be hard. 80% of the Venezuelans voted for the opposition. You have 8 million Venezuelans in exile. We're talking about the largest reserves of oil in the world that will be doing business with the American oil companies. And that is something that I have made very sure that they understand. American companies in Venezuela for the next 100 years.
All right. Well, you heard it. It's imminent in just days.
Thank God.
So that's Congresswoman Maria Salazar talking about, that this will be a good thing because we'll be able to have more access to their oil. Other companies will be able to go into Venezuela and invest in Venezuela. If Maduro leaves, it's very likely that there will be some huge investment opportunities that open up inside Venezuela as you try to get that country back on its feet. It's going to be a generational process, though. I think that the Venezuelan culture is in shambles because socialism doesn't just destroy the economy of a country. It destroys the very moral fabric of the country. Right now, the only growth industry in Venezuela is kidnapping. It's going to take some time to get Venezuelans out of the survival mindset. When you're in a scarcity mindset, you're not going to be charitable. You're going to try to do whatever you can to survive, even if it's immoral or unjust. We found out more about the phone call that took place last week between President Trump and Nicolás Maduro. I wanted to talk about that because at first, when they announced that there had been a call, they didn't say anything about what had been said. We speculated that Maduro had begged Trump not to invade, and Trump had told Maduro he needed to skedaddle. According to President Trump, that was the substance of the phone call, was Nicolás Maduro saying, hey, we can work together on eradicating the drugs from Venezuela. Let me stay in power. Let me keep control of the military, all of that. And President Trump said, you're not in any position to make deals right now. You need to go to Russia and play Fortnite with Bashar al-Assad. That was essentially it for the call. Now, Maduro is trying to put forward a face in Venezuela that says, I'm not afraid. There's a video going around. I think I have, here it is, a video going around. This is Maduro driving around, and Maduro is driving. He's the one that's actually driving the vehicle. You don't normally see the president of a country actually driving himself, but they're in an SUV driving around in Caracas near the main train station. I guess you got to admire his moxie. If you notice, the windows on this vehicle are so blacked out that nobody would be able to see inside to see that it was the president driving around. I don't know what exactly this proves. I guess this is just a way of shaking your fist at the United States and saying, I'm not afraid of the United States because I can go out and drive around Caracas. The president of Colombia continues to try to defend his friend, Nicolás Maduro, his fellow communist. Now he's doing it by claiming that everybody who is against them in the United States is a pedophile. I translated this to English for you. Take a listen to this speech he gave. It's just, again, it just kind of like scratch your head and go, what?
A clan of pedophiles wants to end democracy in Colombia. Yes, but that's the reality we face. And to prevent that list from coming out, they send us battleships to murder fishermen from this very city.
Yeah, so they say they're murdering fishermen. We know they're not fishermen because fishermen don't travel in semi-submersibles or in go-fast boats with 5 motors on the back. So he's lying right there, but let's keep listening.
And threaten our neighboring country, regardless of whether its leader is a dictator. How could the people of Colombia possibly applaud an invasion of their brother nation, an invasion that isn't against the president, but against the very people of Venezuela?
Well, that's another lie, because if there is an invasion, it certainly will not be against the people of Venezuela any more than the invasion of Panama in 1989 was against the people of Panama. I was a part of that invasion, and I can tell you that all of us came down here with the understanding that we were liberating the Panamanian people, not attacking them. If we do go to war with Venezuela, it's certainly not going to be against the Venezuelan people. It will be to remove the Venezuelan dictator. And he's also saying, why would we applaud that here in Colombia? Well, I got one good reason, because you got 2 million Venezuelans living in your country that are using up your resources, your medical care. Almost all of those Venezuelans would go back home once Maduro is gone. That would be a very good thing economically.
They want to use us here through violence so that the people of the United States won't focus on their own government, but instead become consumed by xenophobia, by racism, by notions of a superior race and other false ideas. And they use us to avoid discussing their own problems.
I'm going to pull him off of there. You get the point, right? This guy is pulling out all the old tired leftist tropes, racism, xenophobia, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know how you feel about the Epstein thing. I've heard Americans say all of this stuff in Venezuela is just to distract from the fact that they haven't released the Epstein files. I don't think so. I think that two things can be true at once. Maybe we should have those files released, but there are very compelling reasons for us to be going hard against Venezuela right now. It's crazy that the Europeans have been condemning the United States for the strikes on these boats offshore. Some of the cocaine that we blew up very likely could have been headed to Europe and not to the United States. So if anything, they should be applauding the United States for blowing up those boats. Everybody's going after Pete Hegseth because there was a Washington Post story quoting unnamed sources saying that Pete told the military commanders to kill them all and to strike again on a boat where there were some survivors. We don't know if that actually happened. The Washington Post quoting unnamed sources close to the Pentagon or whatever, very often those things turn out to be false. If he did command them to strike people who were clinging to the wreckage of one of these boats, would be against the law. It would be against our own rules of engagement, or would be considered a war crime if that happened, unless there was some compelling reason to say, no, those people are still a threat, which is kind of hard to prove. But again, we don't know if Hegseth actually said that. And Hegseth himself has said that it's all a lie. So he said not only on the left in the United States, but on the left in Latin America and on the left in Europe is jumping on this story and saying, see, this proves that all of this is illegal. They try to paint with a broad brush and say that everything the United States is doing in the region is illegal, including the military buildup at sea and all that. That's just not the case. This is where critical thinking comes in, folks. You've got to learn to parse out the details of what's going on in any story that you read in the news. And other countries are starting to call for regime change in Venezuela. And this is something that, like Panama has, the Panamanian president has called for, and others in the region. Here's Argentina in the Organization of American States calling for the ouster of Nicolás Maduro.
In Venezuela, which has worsened even more after the fraudulent July 2024 elections, demands immediate attention. We note that since the prosecutor's office announced in November 2021 the conclusion of the preliminary examination on Venezuela's situation, there has been little progress. Arbitrary detentions, inhuman treatment, and other crimes against humanity perpetrated by the Venezuelan regime require rigorous but expeditious investigations, including the issuance of arrest warrants against its main perpetrators.
So he's calling for the ICC to issue arrest warrants against the heads of the Cartel de los Soles, which would be the Venezuelan government. Now, we've talked at length about what the United States will likely do when and if they strike in Venezuela. Number one, they're not going to be going after civilian targets like Russia is doing on a daily basis in Ukraine. They're going to be taking out known drug sites, military targets, especially things that would threaten U.S. forces. We've got all these forces off. This is some video of the U.S. forces that are arrayed in the Gulf right now. And we've got to take out any targets in Venezuela that would maybe be able to fire a missile at our ships or at our planes, any air defense assets or anything like that. And we might likely go after some government buildings. We might have to go after the presidential palace, something like that. None of those are going to be aimed at civilian targets. Now, the last time there was an actual invasion or military operation of this scope in Latin America was December 1989, when I parachuted into Panama. There were about 27,000 troops taking part in that operation. The objective of that operation was to remove Manuel Noriega, secure the Panama Canal, and reinstall the democratically elected government. So this could be similar to that. If we did see troops on the ground, it would not be for a long period of time. And as that Congresswoman said on Fox and Friends, this is going to be something that happens quickly. That a full-on invasion is not in the cards. If we take the steps necessary to remove Maduro from power, you're going to see very quickly all of the other institutions that Maduro has lined up to support him falling like dominoes. And that includes support from Russia, Iran, and China. None of those countries want anything to do with this conflict. They've all made noises in support of Venezuela and saying the United States shouldn't be invading a neighboring country. That would be totally wrong, says Russia, who is coming in 4 years of invading a friendly country next door. There's some nuclear level hypocrisy going on there. Those three countries are not going to provide any support for Venezuela. That's pretty clear at this point. Anything more than they have already provided in terms of military assistance, financial assistance, or advisors on the ground. Russia is starting to pull its people out of Venezuela. There was some videos of afloat aircraft, Russian aircraft leaving Caracas, taking their diplomats and advisors out. What those guys were doing was helping to secure Nicolás Maduro. And they don't want any part of this fight. They don't want their people getting killed. So they are advising people to get out. Their advisors and diplomats are leaving on aircraft as we speak. President Trump is meeting at the White House with Pete Hegseth and others in the national security realm to make a final decision on what they're going to do. That's happening today. In the meantime, Pete Hegseth went down to Puerto Rico and then flew out to some of the ships that we have out in the Gulf on Thanksgiving Day in order to have Thanksgiving with the troops. And I just want to play this clip because I think this shows what kind of a man Pete Hegseth is. And this is why I really love the fact that he's our Secretary of War. I really love what he's doing with the U.S. military. And I especially love that he is not afraid to put his faith on display for the troops and to pray with the troops and that sort of thing. So he went down there with his wife. Let's take a listen to this video.
Jenny and I want to wish America's best, our warriors, a happy Thanksgiving. We're here in the Caribbean about to go get on a couple of ships and have Thanksgiving meals with our troops. But our minds are also in Washington, D.C. with the two great Americans who were ambushed and targeted. And we're prayerful for them. But we really wanted to spend Thanksgiving with the troops. There's no better way to do it. On mission down here for Southern Spear. We're really excited to get out there and go see them. Certainly, we're missing our family, but we're thinking about their families.
And we know that family is the backbone of your service, and we are so grateful for that. We just pray blessings upon all of you and your families wherever you are today, and hope that you truly do have a happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. I was deployed 3 times, was always thinking about my family, and hope they were gathering with food and football and all those things. These folks won't be. We're going to bring them maybe a turkey and a little bit of cheer.
About to share something he reads at our Thanksgiving table every year to the kids.
You're exactly right. I'll close with this. George Washington's Thanksgiving Proclamation from 1789. It started with this. Whereas it is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of Almighty God, to obey his will, to be grateful for his benefits, and humbly to implore his protection and favor. So we humbly implore Jesus Christ, Almighty God, for his protection, for those in Washington, for those all around the world defending our nation. Happy Thanksgiving. We love you, we appreciate you, and we're here to serve you.
I love to see that. We should never be afraid to display our faith at work. And a truly free America will encourage such displays of faith and not restrict them. I do want to remind you that we have a Cyber Monday sale for all of our hot zone products on the website. Go to livefireinc.myshopify.com and use the code Cyber Monday and get 20% off of all the merch, t-shirts and mugs. I highly recommend you check that out. Don't forget to go to chuckholton.com and become a member. You can support the work we do to feed, clothe, and house people around the world. Some of the charitable stuff that we're involved in, and we're going to talk more about that as the week goes on. We're doing great things because of the help that you all provide to people around the globe.